It's like, bro, none of us have ever said that.
Yeah.
But they just say talk alpha male. None of us have ever called us that.
Well, they're just saying it basing off the points and the things that you say, or the moments that you have.
Yeah, but again, like reaction YouTube is huge. So like, there's a bunch of creators that like, just sit there and just talk shit about other YouTubers, and it's like an entire economy. So like, you're always going to target people that tend to lean aggressively one side, so you could go see them as impartial. And that's what reaction YouTubers are. If you look at them, most of them are like fence sitters. They don't really stand for anything. They're just like, oh, let me just react to this crazy wokey. Let me react to this crazy conservative. And they just kind of sit in the middle, because that's where they're incentivized to stand, so that they can make the most amount of reaction content, which generates the most amount of money.
Never get banned.
That's why I don't respect most reaction YouTubers, because like, you guys are not real creators. You guys sit there and react to other people and try to take contrarian points all the time, but you don't really stand for anything. You just sit there so you can make money on AdSense.
Yeah.
Most of them.
What do you guys think about me? Because I'm a little bit in a weird position.
I mean, you don't do reaction. You have good conversations with people. You're able to. What I like about your podcast is that you talk to people from all different sides.
Yeah.
Right. Could you go a little harder? Absolutely.
For sure.
I mean, everybody has their role in this game, right? If we were all far right, fake alpha males, all this stuff, then nobody would have any sort of dialogue or conversation. There's supposed to be people at different points of view. So it's important to have someone who's like, kind of sitting on the fence, but still, it's important. It's important.
And I've talked about this with Sneako before. One thing I respect about you, Brad, that I've always admired was you've been able to kind of reinvent yourself. So like, I've talked about like how fitness YouTube is kind of dead, and you kind of saw that coming.
Oh yeah.
You can only count your macros and do gym vlogs for
so many
long.
chest day videos you can make.
So it's like you're one of those like creators that like didn't fall off, right? Like I remember seeing you like an era with like Jeff Side and Matt Ogus and all these guys. They've all fallen off. Like I don't know where any of them are anymore, right? Like especially on YouTube, like a lot of the legacy Gymshark athletes, like they're all like just gone, right? And just stopped making content, or they just slacked off, or they're just not relevant anymore. And I still like them. Like I've like in my early 20s watching these guys. Yeah. So like you've been able to kind of reinvent yourself and like align yourself with certain creators and stay relevant. And like I think that's like a play in itself. And you've been able to always be fairly objective in like your interviews and who you deal with, etc. And not going too extreme in one way or whatever. Because at the end of the day, and you're in a fitness niche, so like you don't need to go give your geopolitical takes or whatever. Like that's not your style. But I think that's great, man, that you're able to go ahead and network with a multitude of different people with different viewpoints, etc. And it's something I've always admired and respected.
He's calling you a grifter in a really nice way.
Yeah, that was really sweet of him. Wow.
Yeah. No, man, that was amazing. Bro, like no, because like here's the thing. I'm not gonna someone, right, like that that has good business acumen, because like we might dip, because we agree on a lot of things, right? We talk offline and everything else like that. But I respect the fact that like you're willing to have conversations with people that have opposing views, because I do that too. Like I'm willing to have conversations with like Zionists or people that have different viewpoints than I do, or feminists, or whatever. We bring them on the show and have these discussions, and you do it as well, which I think is like very admirable. So, and you've been able to be relevant for a very long time, for the better part of like over a decade, dude.
Yeah.
So it's yourself on the fucking back, because most people don't last that long on social media.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I do. I wish, I don't know. I wish you specifically, I wish you weren't canceled from YouTube, because I think you have a lot like to offer. I think sometimes it's a little bit sort of
what's interesting?
Aggressive.
The reasons they cancel them are not banned offenses anymore.
They reverse all the misinformation policies that I was banned for.
Can you apply to come back?
I did. They rejected it. I actually reapplied last week, and they rejected it.
Do you think that comes down to the things you're saying, or like just the fact that you've aligned yourself with another company that's like trying to basically compete?
No, regardless, I don't think they'd let me back in. They don't need me. Like YouTube is a multi-billion-dollar company, and so to reinstate somebody who's a risk to them, why would they be incentivized to do that? Also, they want to lead an example. They want to have somebody like me to point to, and everyone gets afraid to speak about this stuff. So they need me to burn and go to Rumble. But it's free speech. I'm way happier.
Election stuff, COVID stuff, like it's all like you could talk about it now. I mean, people are still scared to talk about it because like you get banned for it, or like you get strikes for it. But like that stuff, like they don't necessarily like punish punitively. They don't. It's not punitive anymore. You know what I mean? Like they don't punish you for it. So it's just interesting how like the things that he got banned for like are okay to talk about, and they're not reinstating them.
Yeah, it's I always have this. I keep talking about this conversation, but the same conversation with Don Lemon, not about this specifically, but about the COVID thing and what we knew now and how it was okay then. And he used the example of like, well, it's like marijuana. It's like marijuana at one point was like you went through and thrown in jail, and then now it's like, and I'm like, these aren't the same things. But it's also interesting how at one point that was a thing that like it was like devil, and now all of a sudden it's like the most widely accepted, used, and like it's
I know.
monetized everywhere.
And now people are getting schizophrenia, and they're like, maybe we should have banned this in the first place. Like, weed is not as good as
It's the thing that is always trips me out is like when we have these conversations or we talk about these things that at one point marijuana was like the devil.
Yeah,
to
it's
America.
still a Schedule I drug in federally.
And it was like now it's like everyone and their mom fucking talks about either smoking weed or I don't do it. I did it for a while and I had my moments in and out of it and it's giving me terrible anxiety when I'm like, okay, I got to give this up. But it's just interesting how at one point it was so bad when it was illegal and then when it was monetized, it's like it's okay now.
I still think it should be illegal.
But I don't. What I'm saying is,
Yeah.
I don't understand how people don't see that. Which is like the biggest change was that it was never bad. Maybe where you were getting it from, who knows where it was growing because it was like black market type. But like as soon as it was able to be monetized and money, and my thing is like if you can't see that. Because that's what the writing on all this stuff that we're talking about comes back to that.
when they saw they could profit off of it,
When
then
money,
the narrative shifted.
when
yeah.
we can make sure we're collecting as much money as possible from this thing, it's good now. And that's what because that's a fact. That's not my opinion. That's a fact. So it's like, how can people not see that and go, what the is going on here? That's when all these things are like we talk about, and it's like, what is happening?
They don't care about us.
But I don't understand how people can't
Don't see
see
that.
that literal fact, that actual fact. It's not an opinion.
you can monetize and control it. It's acceptable. Yeah.
Yes,
I see what you mean. Yeah,
that's what's so weird to me, and like it's not. It's so in your face that
yeah. I think it should still be illegal. Like, the thing is that weed, I mean, and you said, you were in and out with it. It's like, dude, it's not, it makes you lethargic. There's no real benefit to it. People say, oh, I have anxiety, I can't relax. Like, dude, like read a book or something. Like there's ways to relax without using drugs.
It's like
gym.
giving me
Using
anxiety. It
marijuana.
gives me anxiety.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not-
And, I've never smoked weed in my life. I've never used drugs. I'm very anti-drug. I think using drugs or even medication to some level, you want to limit it. So, yeah, man, I think weed just sets you up to like